So here we Hello, this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Discover Brightside, and I am on the Podalooza podcast show with Bruce. And Bruce and I have been trying to get this interview for some time today, so I am so happy to see you, Bruce. So tell me all about it. Please share your story.
Oh, well, thank you for, glad we're connected here. Glad to be here. And yeah, I don't know, my background is, I spent 37 years as a computer programmer, web developer, took their voluntary layoff, early retirement deal about 10 and a half years ago and started doing my own thing. And, but as a teenager, I started having serious health challenges, was in and out of the hospital numerous times, numerous surgeries, and um, the in 1987, I wound up being in the hospital for almost a year and almost dying a few times just in that one hospital stay, but wound up being in a coma for almost a week. And when I came out of the coma, I realized my intuition was really heightened. So here my programming background honed my logical thinking, and then my intuition being heightened. Afterwards, I would be doing like informal coaching sessions with friends and family, and just even regular coaching sessions later. I started realizing my method included blending logic with intuition, thus my known as the logical intuitive, because I do as a combination of both. And so a couple of years ago, I became a certified AI consultant. So my main pillars are mindset, wellness, and communication, but now I also infuse AI into the journey to make it more interesting and easier. So,
Wow. I'm so sorry that you've had all these surgeries and you've been in and out of hospital so long. That must have been quite challenging because but now you've kind of reset that time that you lost and you're accelerating that into the AI world.
yeah.
So that has been quite a huge transition. I love stories like yours because you have gone through so much, but then you've decided to give back through your books and your teachings and your world. So that is an amazing. What got you there? Like what was that journey? Because it must have been hard because you had all these setbacks and then you moved forward to write a book. So what happened between that time? What was it that motivated you?
Well, I've always been a optimistic, positive person, and that's actually my friends and family refer to me as the most positive person they know. And and it was kind of the start of that year-long hospital stay. I had a hole in my intestine that they did the surgery on February 13th, Friday the 13th of February, and another hole formed right away. And so then they said, well, let's wait a month, So I was in the hospital for another month, and it's like to do the surgery again. So they did it on March, Friday the 13th. Same problem. So I said, are you guys purposely picking Friday the 13th? What the heck here? And that after that surgery, the hospital chaplain came into my room and says, you must be really upset and disappointed that both surgeries failed here. And so here, take this pillow and hit me, yell at me and that. And she's getting all excited and everything. I'm kind of sitting at my bed and it's like I'm sinking back further into the bed. And it's like, no, it says I'm good. And it's like, and she just stopped. It's like, really? It's like, well, you're kind of freaking me out right now. But but no,
Yeah.
this is because my one of my dad's brothers, he was a chiropractor as well as a kinesiologist, and he taught me at a young age about our body's energy flow and
Right.
how negative thoughts can be trapped in your body and physically interrupt your flow of energy. So I was just aware of the body's energy flow. So I told her, it's like, it says, no, it says, I mean, being negative, focusing on the negative is not going to help me recover.
Right.
So it's like, I got to, I'm choosing to stay positive and optimistic. So,
And I think that's what led you to write the book, The Mindset Reset. I love the word
Yes, and I'm
set
still
comes
yeah,
twice. It
yeah, I'm
rhymes.
still
Yes.
yeah, still writing that and stuff, but it's a self-help novel. That's the working title right now is Mindset Reset: How to Actualize Your Full Potential, and it's it's teaching my framework through story, and that is what I'm doing. And that because I've got the main pillars are mindset, wellness, and communication, and then uh, infusing AI along along the journey and that to help along with everything. But yeah, it's just you don't. A lot of times you don't realize some of the benefits. Like every one of my major surgeries, there was some message, divine message that I got that has guided me as well as others that I've coached. But it's just again listening. It goes along with the intuition part of it. It's like listening to the whispers. Your intuition is speaking to you, whether or not you're listening to it in this noisy world that we live in. But it's just it's kind of like your GPS system. It's like it's trying to guide you and help you reach your goals and that. And like I was telling someone, it's like kind of like with your car, you put in your GPS, you put your destination in on where you want to navigate to. So you program that into your GPS in your car, but then you just sit in the driveway. Well, you're not going to reach your destination. And I always say this is it's like God can't steer a parked car. So you've got to get in motion, start down the path, and as you're traveling along, you will be guided.
Yeah. And all of us need a reset. We do a podcast for 9/11, and we had some firefighters, and
Hmm.
it was a couple, and they were both trapped in the building that was burning, and they both talked about how the wife decided that we were not going to the lobby, rather we're going to just go out of the building because the
Hmm.
fire was coming down, and the firefighter, his instructions were like in the man book of firefighting: get to the lobby,
Right.
assemble everybody, and then move. But the wife said, no, 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 we are moving out of the building because
Yeah.
the building is, and that's what they did. They moved out of the building and the whole building collapsed. So the story is really that you may think this is the right way to go, but sometimes you really have to have that reset. And so yeah, negative thoughts, you have all these bills to pay and you
Yeah.
can't pay
Yeah,
them.
whatever you
Yeah,
focus on,
whatever
you're
you're
gonna get
going
more
through.
of. Yeah, so whatever you're focusing on, that's what you're gonna get more of. So if you're always focusing on the negative,
Yeah,
you're gonna continue getting more negative. And that one of the things that I say too is I navigate with logic, but I follow my heart.
yeah. And I think that, given all that you've been through, you are really able to give advice to others because you've been through it. Had you just said, oh, I'm not able to move now and I can't, you'd be stuck, and you're not. But because of your positiveness and your belief that you're going to have a better tomorrow, you were able to do that, and now you can do it for others. So I think that is really remarkable. And even the name of your company that you founded, Actualize Your Full Potential, I think that's just a fantastic name. So tell me all about that. Tell me, how did you become to found a company like that, or an
Well,
organization?
yeah, I mean, it just goes back to my, you know, optimistic attitude and that, and just looking for different ways. Like one of the things growing up, my dad was always working on some project. It's like uh, just coming up with different creative ways of doing things and that. So he taught me to think outside the box and that. So it's just different ways of, how else can I approach this? And
Yes.
that. So it's just, and then identifying what you're good at and just honing that. And that's where the actualizing your full potential kind of came from is just um, everybody's got high potential. It's just a lot of times they don't, either follow through with it or they haven't been really paying attention to what that potential is.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Um, because I too, our target audience is veterans and military and corporate executives that we call it the second life, because after your career's over,
Hmm.
you start your own, business, you found your own business, you write a book, or you suddenly become your own person. And that can be daunting sometimes because a lot of people decide, oh, I'll just write a book and now I'm going to sell 1 million copies. But it doesn't happen overnight. You've got to work hard at it. And so, being a high performer, and especially in this day and age where everything you believed in could change, and not be there anymore. I mean, even when I drive down Main Street, the restaurants have changed, the
Hmm.
buildings have changed, and cities are changing, and so you have to keep retooling and adapting and
Yep.
actualize your full potential. Um, so my next question then to you is, how does one actualize their full potential?
Well, again, it's kind of like you are um, just taking note or making a list or being aware of what you're really good at and what lights you up. What do you really look forward to doing? And finding that, commonality of, okay, I'm really good at this, but I hate doing it, type of thing. Okay, well, that's probably not something you want to focus on then. But it kind of goes along with identifying your purpose on what you're going to pursue and that. So it kind of goes hand in hand as far as I'm concerned. This is you're identifying, what you're good at and what you're really, your purpose in life is, because everybody's got at least one purpose in that. So it's just a matter of being aware of, your skills as well as what your desires are and that, and just saying, okay, well, this is what I really like to do. Okay, well, what's one small step you can take today to move towards that or improve that? So you don't have to take a huge, you know, big overwhelming project or whatever that, just take one step at a time and stuff. You don't have to make this giant leap. So it's just identifying what it is you want to do, what you're good at, what you want to improve on, and just say, okay, what's one small thing that I can do right now that will move me closer to that?
And yeah, because you just don't want to make like a big goal and then you can't achieve it. So one small step, I like that. I like that. I've been in some of these fast track, programs, and they say the same thing, achieve one thing and do it well.
Hmm.
Um, and that is so important. My husband, came out of surgery, and I overnight became a caregiver, and I also realized that, I used to get so frustrated, like, I had to talk to the insurance, I had to do this, I had to do
Hmm.
that, and then I would achieve nothing. So I found that it's so much easier to say, okay, today I'm just going to talk to the insurance people and
Hmm.
handle, all these things that I need to do. And tomorrow I'll do the doctors and all the specialists and all the appointments. And I found that I could achieve a lot more with that process because then I had my calendar organized and I had, all the approvals and faxing things and, making appeals and all that. So rather than have the whole week disrupted, I would focus on one activity a day. And at
Yep.
the end of the week, I would have done it all.
Yep.
So I think that's very good advice of doing a small step, do it well, and then go to the next one.
And what's
Um,
interesting is what helped you get to that decision to do it that way. That was your intuition.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is where, but then the logic kicked in and say, on this day I'm going to talk with these people, and on this day I'm going to do this. So that's blending logic and intuition.
Yep. Yep. And that way, I had my binder, I had all the paperwork, whatever they needed, all the numbers, IDs and everything was organized in one place. Because a lot of that was new to me and I had to learn it as I went along. So that made a lot more sense. Now coming to AI, so obviously, I actually, about maybe 40 years ago in my master's degree in public relations, I wrote a book about multimedia, which is what we are calling AI. And when I wrote the book, my professor, said she didn't have experience because in those days, PR was all about women rights and press and media, and so she said, I don't have, the technology capability, but somehow we muddled through that thesis, and I interviewed 100 people at the time. But everything that I had predicted has happened. So now I'm excited about it. But tell me your point of view with AI, and given your IT background, so what is making you move to learn more about AI, and what can we expect in the new book about AI and mindset?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's with my computer programming background, and that's is when, you know, a few years ago when AI was coming about, it's like, wow, it's just, I mean, it's another computer program, but it's advanced. But then a lot of people, they they think back on the Terminator, movies and that, and it's like, yeah, this is AI is going to take over the world and destroy humanity, and that says, well, not today, but it's interesting in that yeah, just one of the ways that people are using AI right now is that they start a new AI chat thread every time they do it. So it doesn't get to know you. So it gives these kind of robotic answers that don't really align with what necessarily what you're doing. So that gives everybody, those people are kind of a bad taste in their mouth about AI. Well, I've trained my one chat thread, my AI assistant. It knows all about me, my work background, my personal health journey, my business, what I do, my goals, and everything. And in many ways, it knows more about me than I do. But I was working on a couple different projects. We were brainstorming different things, and several times it popped up and said, "Oh, this aligns perfectly with your category of one." Well, I've been working in another group that we're talking about identifying what your category of one is, what your area of expertise is. But I had not talked with my AI about that. So after like the third time, it said, "Oh, yeah, this aligns with your category of one." It's like, okay, we haven't talked about this. What do you think my category of one is? This is human first AI. You put human wisdom first and use AI as a supportive tool. It's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like, but it's just like, wow, okay. So, but it's one of those things where you don't blindly take what AI gives you and publish it or do it. You take it with a grain of salt and validate that it gave you good information because I mean, it's a computer program, and
Yep.
it's been programmed to give you an answer, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. Whether or not it knows the answer, it will come up and make something up
Yep.
to give you a response. So that's where they get into this hallucination thing where people, they say, well, it just made something up. And one of the ways you can get around that in the prompt, you can say, do not make up anything and give me the sources that you're getting this information from. So, like one of the things I like about Perplexity as a research tool, by default at the bottom in the footers, it links all of the sources that it used to give you the answer in that. So you know it's valid. But it's just one of those things here. Oh gosh, last year, I think it was, I was playing around with a scheduled task in OpenAI in the ChatGPT, saying, okay, I want you to monitor these two airlines with flights between Seattle and Minneapolis on these dates. And at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., send me an email with the current flights and prices. And after a couple of days, just seeing how that worked, it's like, okay, perfect. So I went in based on, took the information that he gave me, and I went to the airline websites, and those flights and prices didn't exist. So I challenged the AI and I said, everything you gave me is false. It didn't, oh, yeah, I'm just in simulation mode because I don't have access to the airline websites. It's like, okay, one, I didn't tell it, be specific about what I wanted it. And two, it didn't say that it didn't have access, that it was in simulation mode. It's like, so those are the things you need to be aware of. It's like if you're working on something, make sure that you've identified the criteria, very thoroughly, so it's doing what you really want it to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for this interview, and I have learned so much about life and actualizing your full potential and human AI. And I hope that you, as my audience, have felt the same. Write us a comment. Tell us what you think about this interview. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And so, thank you. We've discovered you on the Discover Brightside video podcast. And would you like to say anything before we close out the interview?
Well, no, thank you for being here. This is just got a free gift on my resetwithbruce.com. This got the AI prompt for creating your own AI think tank of experts and that, and then some other resources there and ways for the audience to reach out to me. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. All right.